You've been told to be afraid of soy, especially during menopause, that it'll mess with your hormones, and maybe even cause cancer. But what if the one thing you've been told to run from is actually one of the most powerful, scientifically backed tools for crushing your menopause symptoms? Health gurus have been selling fear for years, but I'm about to show you the hard evidence that proves them wrong and could completely change how you handle menopause for the better. For years, the warnings have been impossible to ignore. They're all over social media, on wellness blogs, and preached by self-proclaimed health experts. Stay away from soy, they scream. They claim it's packed with dangerous phytoestrogens that will torpedo your hormonal balance, especially during the already chaotic time of menopause. They whisper that it's a fast track to thyroid problems, and the scariest of all, breast cancer. This whole story is built on a foundation of fear, preying on women who are just looking for safe, natural relief from symptoms that can make daily life miserable. It gives you a simple villain, a humble soybean. This fear-mongering has become so widespread that countless women who could be benefiting from soy are now actively avoiding it, choosing to keep struggling rather than trust a potential solution. They've been convinced that a plant food, eaten for thousands of years in other cultures, is some kind of hormonal Trojan horse. That's a lie. And today, we're going to tear it down with something the gurus always seem to forget: scientific evidence. Let's get real for a second about what menopause can feel like. It's so much more than your period stopping. For up to 80% of women, it's a daily fight against a tidal wave of symptoms. It's that sudden, volcanic heat of a hot flash that explodes in your chest, leaving you soaked in sweat with your heart racing. And these things don't just happen from 9 to 5. They ambush you in big meetings, while you're standing in the grocery line, and in the middle of the night, stealing your sleep. It's the night sweats that wake you up cold, clammy, and tangled in damp sheets. It's the brain fog that makes you forget what you were saying mid-sentence. It's the mood swings that come out of nowhere, the bone-deep fatigue, and the vaginal dryness that can make intimacy uncomfortable or even painful. It's a relentless gauntlet, both physically and emotionally. In that state of desperation, you start looking for answers. You want something that works, but more than anything, you want something safe. Hormone replacement therapy can be a confusing topic, and for some women, it's not even an option. So you turn to the natural wellness world, hoping for a gentle, plant-based fix. And what do you find? An army of influencers telling you to be terrified of one of the most well-researched plant compounds for women's health. You're left feeling trapped, stuck between the symptoms you can't stand and the solutions you're told to fear. It's frustrating, and it can feel incredibly isolating. So what does science actually say? To get it, you need to understand the main character in this story: a group of plant compounds called isoflavones. Isoflavones are a type of phytoestrogen, which literally means plant estrogen. And that's where the fear-mongering starts. The myth-makers want you to think that phytoestrogen is the same as human estrogen, and that eating soy is like popping an unregulated hormone pill. That could not be more wrong. Think of it like this. Your body's estrogen receptors are like a bunch of locks. The estrogen your body makes is a perfect key for those locks. It fits just right and turns the lock with full force. Phytoestrogens from soy, on the other hand, are like a key that's similarly shaped but isn't a perfect match. They can slide into the lock, but they can't turn it with anywhere near the same power. In fact, scientists estimate that phytoestrogens are anywhere from 100 to 100,000 times weaker than your body's own estrogen. And that weakness is exactly what makes them so smart. During menopause, as your natural estrogen levels drop, these gentle phytoestrogens can dock in some of those empty receptors and provide a very mild, subtle effect. This can be just enough to help stabilize the system that controls your body temperature, which goes haywire and causes hot flashes. On the flip side, if there's too much strong estrogen around, these weaker phytoestrogens can occupy the locks, essentially blocking the more powerful estrogens from binding. So, instead of being a hormonal sledgehammer, they act more like hormonal modulators. They can give you a gentle lift when your levels are low, and can soften the blow when your levels are high. They aren't fake estrogen. They're smart plant compounds that work with our bodies in a much more helpful way than you've been led to believe. We know that the best way to kill a myth is with cold, hard data. So let's look at the research the gurus tend to ignore. For decades, researchers noticed something interesting. Women in Asian countries, like Japan, reported far fewer and less severe menopausal symptoms. While things like culture definitely play a role, a huge focus of the research has been on diet, which is traditionally rich in soy. But we have more than just observations. We have hardcore clinical trials. Let's talk about a landmark study called the Women's Study for the Alleviation of Vasomotor Symptoms, or the WAVES trial. In this 12-week study, postmenopausal women having at least 2 hot flashes a day were put into 2 groups. One group did nothing different. The other group switched to a low-fat, plant-based diet that included a half cup of cooked soybeans each day. The results were stunning. The women on the plant-based diet with soy saw their total hot flashes drop by 79%. Even better, the number of moderate to severe hot flashes, the ones that truly ruin your day, plummeted by 84%. Let that sink in. An 84% reduction. By the end of the study, nearly 60% of the women in the soy group were completely free of those disruptive hot flashes. Now it's true that the broader research on soy for hot flashes is mixed, with some studies showing smaller effects. However, a systematic review from 2025 found that soy isoflavones were significantly effective for other menopausal issues like headaches, palpitations, and depressive symptoms. Plus, a 2024 meta-analysis of 40 clinical trials confirmed that soy isoflavones do not act like the hormone estrogen in the body, reinforcing their safety. The science is clear. Whole soy foods are a safe and remarkably effective tool for many women. Knowing the science is great, but how do you actually put it into practice? The good news is, it's simple and delicious. The goal isn't to start megadosing on processed supplements. The real magic is in whole soy foods. The WAVES trial, with its incredible results, used just a half a cup of cooked whole soybeans a day. Other studies point to a helpful range of about 50 to 100 milligrams of isoflavones daily. So what does that look like on your plate? Here are some easy ways to get there. Edamame. A cup of these tasty green soybeans makes a great snack and packs a powerful punch of isoflavones. Tofu. Just 3 or 4 ounces of firm tofu, perfect for stir-fries, scrambles, or baking, will get you into that therapeutic range. Tempeh. This fermented soy cake has a nutty taste and a firm bite, making it a fantastic meat substitute. A 3-ounce serving is an excellent choice. Soy milk, an easy win. Add a cup to your morning coffee, cereal, or smoothie. Miso. This fermented soybean paste brings a rich, savory flavor to soups and dressings. And as we know, fermented foods are great for our aging bodies. The trick is to be consistent. Phytoestrogens have a fairly short life in the body, so having a serving or 2 of soy each day is much more effective than eating a huge amount once a week. If you focus on these less processed forms, you'll be eating soy the way it has been consumed for centuries in cultures with low rates of menopausal symptoms. This isn't about a crazy diet overhaul. It's about small, steady changes that can bring huge relief. All right, let's tackle the biggest and scariest lie of all, the idea that soy causes breast cancer. This myth comes from a very old, flawed idea. Because some breast cancers are fueled by estrogen, The worry was that soy's phytoestrogens could do the same. But decades of human research have not only proven this wrong, but have shown the exact opposite might be true. A huge meta-analysis from 2022 concluded that eating more soy and isoflavones is associated with a lower risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer for both pre- and post-menopausal women. And it gets better. A major review in the JNCI Cancer Spectrum from January 2024, which looked at data from over 11,000 women, found that soy isoflavones were linked to a 26% reduced risk of breast cancer coming back. A separate 2024 study even found that about 60 milligrams of isoflavones a day, the amount in 1 or 2 servings of soy, seemed to offer the most protection against recurrence of postmenopausal survivors. It all comes back to that lock and key idea. The weak phytoestrogens in soy can occupy the estrogen receptors on breast cells, which block your body's much stronger natural estrogen from getting in and telling the cells to grow. So, far from being a danger, lifelong soy consumption actually appears to be protective. The only time for caution is with high-dose isolated isoflavone pills for women with a history of estrogen-sensitive cancer. For almost everyone else, whole soy foods aren't just safe, they're beneficial. The science is overwhelming. The fear of soy and breast cancer is a myth that needs to be retired for good. In conclusion, you're navigating one of the biggest transitions of your life while being fed misinformation designed to make you scared and confused. The lie that soy is your enemy isn't just wrong, it's actively keeping women from a safe, powerful, and scientifically proven tool for relief. The evidence is all pointing in one direction. From population studies to rigorous trials like WAVES, the data shows that adding whole soy foods to your diet can be a game changer for hot flashes and other menopause symptoms. These plant compounds aren't hormonal chaos agents, they are smart modulators that work with your body. And the myth linking soy to breast cancer has been busted by modern science, which now shows a protective effect. It's time to trade fear for facts and listen to the science, not the scaremongers. A simple change like adding a daily serving of tofu, edamame, or soy milk could be your first step toward getting your comfort, your sleep, and your life back. You don't have to suffer, and you definitely don't have to be afraid of a food that can help. The truth is, soy isn't the villain. It might just be the ally you've been searching for all along. If you're done with the myths and want more evidence-based information to take control of your health, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. And remember, this video is for informational purposes only and is not medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making dietary or supplement changes.